समीपे च पुरश्च पश्चात् विलोकयामूर्ध्वं मधश्च तिर्यक् कृष्ण ते रूपमनन्तरूप अहो निमग्नस्तव रूपसिन्धौ पश्यामि नान्तं न च मध्यमादिम् अवाक च निष्पन्नतरो विमूढः कुत्रास्मि कोऽस्मीति न वेदिमि देव नमस्ते नमस्ते विभो विश्वमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते हरे अचिन्त्य शक्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते अखिलाश्चार्य सिन्धो महादेव शम्भो नमस्ते नमस्ते भूतेषु सर्वेषु चराचरेषु
A sphinx whose eyes look up the hidden sun.
भूतेषु सर्वेषु चराचरेषु दूरे समीपे च पुरश्च पश्चात् विलोकयामूर्ध्वं मधश्च तिर्यक् कृष्ण ते रूपमनन्तरूप अहो निमग्नस्तव रूपसिन्धौ पश्यामि नान्तं न च मध्यमादिम् अवाक च निष्पन्नतरो विमूढः कुत्रास्मि कोऽस्मीति न वेदिमि देव नमस्ते नमस्ते विभो विश्वमूर्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते हरे अचिन्त्य शक्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते अखिलाश्चार्य सिन्धो महादेव शम्भो नमस्ते नमस्ते.
Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, Lord, this morning Thou hast given me the assurance that Thou would stay with us until Thy work is achieved, not only as a consciousness which guides and illumines, but also as a dynamic presence in action. In unmistakable terms, Thou hast promised that all of Thyself would remain here and not leave the earth atmosphere until earth is transformed. Grant that we may be worthy of this marvelous presence, and that henceforth everything in us be concentrated on the one will to be more and more perfectly consecrated to the fulfillment of Thy sublime work. With love and blessing, says our Divine Mother.
Dragged as with a hidden leaf, carried from birth to birth, from world to world.
Words of our Divine Mother, topic the ever-living presence. Subtopic Sri Aurobindo is ever living. Our Divine Mother says there was the case of Sri Aurobindo. He is dead, the doctors decided. He was absolutely alive, absolutely living. And even after 5 days, when they put him into, it was because of how I should put it, the pressure of the outside world, and because it was impossible to preserve him, we had to consent. But I cannot say he was dead. He wasn't at all dead. It was perfectly obvious. The body was already beginning to a very little, but little at the end of the 5th day, that is, the skin was losing its color. But the Divine Mother makes a glorious gesture. For the first 3 days, I remained there, says our Divine Mother. For the first 3 days, I remained standing there near his bed in an absolutely, well, to me it was absolutely visible. All the organized consciousness that was in his body deliberately came out of it and into mine. And I not only saw it, but felt the friction of its entry. Then people say he is dead. That's ignorance. From the Conversation with a Disciple by our Divine Mother on June 4th, 1967. Next subtopic, Sri Aurobindo is ageless. Our Divine Mother says, Sri Aurobindo himself, as he was, but more with a harmony of form, very broad here in the chest, broad and solid and very agile. He comes and goes, sits down and gets up, always with his great majesty. His color is a sort of golden bronze, a color like the coagulation of his supramental gold, of his golden supramental being, as if it were very concentrated and coagulated to fashion his appearance. And it does not reflect light. It seems as if lit from within, but it doesn't radiate, and it doesn't cast any shadows. But perfectly natural, it doesn't surprise you. The most natural thing in the world, that the way he is. Ageless, his hair has the same color as his body. He has hair, but you can't say if it's hair. It's the same color. The eyes too, a golden look.
Heaven.
Yet it's perfectly natural, nothing surprising. He sits down just as he used to, with his leg, as used to put it, the right leg in front, and at the same time, when he gets up, he is agile. He comes and he goes. Words of our Mother, of our Divine Mother, in Conversation with a Disciple on June 29, 1963. Next subtopic, Sri Aurobindo possesses more power for action now. Question. I asked myself a question about Sri Aurobindo, sweet mother. I wanted to know at what point he had arrived when he passed away, or at what point of transformation. What difference in the work, for example, is there between what you are doing now and what he was doing at that time? For this, our Divine Mother says, he had gathered in his body a great amount of supramental force, and as soon as he left, you see, he was lying on his bed. I stood by his bed in a way altogether concrete with such a strong sensation as to make one thing that it could be seen. All the supramental force which was in him passed from his body into mine, and I felt the friction of the passage. It was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. It was an extraordinary experience. For a long time like that, and our Divine Mother indicates the passing of the force into her body, I was standing beside his bed, and that continued almost a sensation. It was a material sensation for a long time. Question. But what I wanted to understand is at what point of the inner work was, for example, the cleaning of the subconscious and all that, what difference is there, say, between the work he had done at that time and the work to which you have come now? I mean to say, is a subconscious or less subconscious, or for this, our Divine Mother says, oh yes, that surely. There is a difference in the power for action. He himself possesses more action, more power for action now than when in his body. Besides, it is for that he left, because it was necessary to act in that way. It was very concrete. His action has become very concrete. Evidently, it is something which is not at all mental. It is from another region, but it is not ethereal nor it is concrete. One could almost say that it is material. From the Collective Works of Our Divine Mother, Volume 11, page 328. Next topic. Sri Aurobindo's presence is powerfully felt in his room. Our Divine Mother says,
and sweetness, sudden and formidable, faces that raised alluring lips and eyes approached him, armed with beauty like a snare, but hid a fatal meaning in each line, and could, in a moment, dangerously change. But he alone discerned that screened attack.
next topic. Sri Aurobindo's presence is fully felt in his room. Our Divine Mother says, there is the manifestation of the truth. To be in front of his room is to perceive the absolute consciousness. He who knows how to open himself, truly open himself, wide and spontaneously, will find his invariable help for everything. It is unbelievable, it is invincible, and the all-powerful. Do not pretend. In front of him, one has to be straightforward, scrupulously frank and sincere, and one has to simply open oneself to be able to feel his beatitude. Our Divine Mother says, it is extraordinary. The power of his reality, no one could stand, no one could bear it if he reveals himself in his entirety. That is why I was warning you in advance. Never pretend or make a semblance that you are one of those who have the permission to stand before his room. It vibrates with his presence. Be happy and make of your life a consecration for accomplishing his work here below. It is an exceptional opportunity. It is an exceptional opportunity. Be worthy of it and do not waste time. And then there is a silence. And then our Divine Mother says, what a marvel, what a power, what grandeur.
Mischief of the world, an irony that joined the world's contraries and flung them into each other's arms to strive. Put a sardonic rictus on God's face.
Our Divine Mother says, the one who was with us, his power and his force still vibrates in his room. It is a place for meditation and for receiving the vibration of the truth which it emits. It is charged. The presence of Sri Aurobindo is palpably felt by one, who is sincere. Taken from the book Blessings of the Grace, page 109. These are the words of our Divine Mother and her Lord Sri Aurobindo.